Hi everyone, welcome to a sunny Friday here at Let's Do Bonsai. It's very bright. My eyes are just readjusting to the outside. It's the 5th of November today, so it's fireworks night, that dreaded night where the dogs cower underneath the table and shiver their timbers because of obviously all the fireworks, which are very exciting, you know, I can't lie, very beautiful and exciting, but for us animal lovers it's a terrible night of the year for those animals. But hopefully everybody enjoys it and has a good time. Plenty of hot dogs and baked potatoes and chili and beans and all the things that go with it, and the kids have a fun time looking at the fireworks going up and down. It's been just over a week now since Corin Tomlinson came to the South Yorkshire Bonsai Society's monthly meeting. He did a demonstration of 3 trees, and he brought a few other trees as well. So I'm going to show you about 10 minutes worth of what Corin did. Not too much. Hopefully I've got his blessing to put it on, and you can see what we got up to on the night of the meeting there. It was all great fun and really educational. Corin's a extremely talented guy, he really knows his stuff. He was brought up around bonsai. His dad's Harry Tomlinson, very, you know, devoted his life to bonsai, and obviously Corin grew up in that environment, so he's definitely one to watch, definitely one to learn from, and if you've got any questions, he'd be certainly somebody to ask the answer of. He has a channel, it's been going a few months now and it's accelerated dramatically. He's done really well. It's called Greenwood Bonsai. That's because he owns and runs Greenwood Bonsai Studio down in, I believe it's Arnold, just outside of Nottinghamshire. I'll put a link to his channel and his nursery, and if you can get there, please do. He does an online store as well, so you'd be able to buy stuff. And if you just watch this 10-minute clip that I've got of him, you'll see how good he is and the sort of stock that he carries, you know, pre-bonsai stock that's been grown with bonsai in mind. I'm fortunate enough to have a few bits of products off him, and it's all very good and very nice. The 3 trees that Corin worked on during the evening are going up for auction. One of the trees was auctioned off on the same night, and we'll have a little chat with the person who won that at the end of this video, and the next 2 trees will go up month by month, so someone will win one next month and somebody will win one the month after. And obviously they're Corin Tomlinson trees, so they hold a bit of prestige there now that he's worked on them and done some design work on them, and they look really nice. He did a really good job. So I've waffled on for long enough at the beginning of this. I just want to show you, I bought a load of goodies for this video, some new camera equipment and tripods and all the rest of it. So let's go inside and have a look at that equipment now. So this is the equipment that I got hold of. We've got a Canon EOS M50 Mark II. We've hooked up a Rode mic onto that, so that was on top of this Victive tripod. It's a really good big sturdy tripod. It has a foam handle at the back, so you can hold the tripod and use it, you know, without actually having it on the floor, so that works really well. 2 Rode microphones, one obviously for the Canon EOS M50, and then I did get a digital 4K camera, rather cheap, and I thought, well, at least I'll give it a go, and it was all set up. We had this Rode mic on in place of the standard stock one that came with it, and the video recorded quite well, but without having the stock microphone on that it has, which has some settings on the top here that you can turn on and off, and plus and minus decibels, etc., it didn't record any audio. So the great Rode mics that everybody says are fantastic, which I agree, total incompatibility with this 4K digital camera. So obviously the footage from that is just silent, unfortunately, but I have tested it now with this mic on and it does work, so we'll give it a test drive as it stands, and I'll either like what we see and I'll continue to use it, or I won't like it and we'll either send it back or we'll pass it on to somebody who can get some use out of it. I do have 1 or 2 people in mind who would get some good use out of it. That's just a adapter to mount the GoPro on top of any one of these tripods. This is a lighter weight tripod. It says it's a phone tripod on there. It's the Victiv smaller, I think it's the Victiv 54, whereas that's the Victiv 72. And yeah, this one comes with a mobile phone attachment, but I did, with the quick release, I did have the 4K camera mounted on that, and it did look and work well, apart from not capturing any audio. I've also got the Osmo Mobile 3. I did have the Osmo 2, but I've passed the Osmo 2 on, and I have the Osmo Mobile 3. So I'm going to utilise that when I'm out and about with a phone or whatever, if I don't have a camera with me. But having all this equipment is all well and good and brilliant, but I need to get a decent bag to put it all in. Now, I've been inspired by Peter McKinnon, who's, if you haven't heard of him, he's massive on YouTube. If you haven't heard of him, I'll put a link to Peter McKinnon's channel underneath. I watch a lot of his videos, and it's just, for me, it's extremely inspiring for recording and snapshot photography. He is absolutely fantastic. I can't say enough brilliant stuff about him. He is absolutely fantastic. So I've been inspired by him, and they do a Peter McKinnon bag, and I really want to get the Peter McKinnon bag, but they don't ship it to the UK, and I've tried the European links, but I can't manage to get one. So I'm on the lookout for a bag to put at least the camera in, hopefully side pockets for the tripod, maybe the Osmo, and you know, spare batteries and all the adapters and stuff that go with it into the bag. So if anybody out there is any good with camera equipment, etc., and they could recommend a suitable bag for me, I'm open to it. I'm ready to listen to any of the comments down below. But yeah, I'll put a link into the Peter McKinnon bag that I'm talking about, and if you can recommend anything similar to that I can buy here in the UK, because I just can't seem to get the Peter McKinnon bag across here in the UK, I'd be very appreciative. Or if anybody comes up with anything that's kind of similar that'll work, because as I buy more lenses for this, I want something nice and secure to put them in. So now I've waffled on all about all the equipment and bored you all silly, let's go and enjoy at least 10 minutes of Corin Tomlinson's demonstration last week at the South Yorkshire Bonsai Society.
Good evening. Good evening. Thanks for inviting me here today. It's good to sort of get back and back out amongst bonsai societies and enthusiasts. Obviously we've had a couple of challenging years, and I've had to resort to doing stuff on YouTube instead of doing it face to face, but I try and do a bit of both nowadays, so it's good to get back here. We're going to be doing an evening on junipers, that's why I'm surrounded by juniper trees tonight, and it's a little bit, we must be about a year and a half in the making tonight, this demonstration, because you as a bonsai society bought a few junipers off me. Was it a year and a half ago? Must be, yeah, something like that. We've got an assortment of junipers at Greenwood Bonsai, and Graham had bought a few and said, oh, we'll buy them off you, come along and work on them. So they were at the nursery, and then COVID and stuff happened, so then of course you couldn't have meetings, so then I couldn't come down and work on the trees for you, and then Graham took them back and looked after them, so now we're actually here to do some work on them. So the ones that we've got tonight to work on, we've got some small, we've got a small Itagawa juniper. These are the ones that were purchased by the club. So there's a small Itagawa juniper here. It's about 10 or 12 years old, with quite a curvy little twisty trunk. And these were, when we sold these a year and a half ago, they were in these little bonsai pots already. So Graham's been looking after this, but it hasn't had any pruning, has it really, yet? So that's to be pruned and wired as a little shohin size Itagawa. And then we've also got one of these. This is the same, but it's probably twice the size. It's just a few years older, and this has been called number 2. Yeah, it's very imaginative. Number 1. This is number. Just check I'm doing them in order. It's number 1. This is number 2. So this is the same as this, but obviously it's a bit older and it hasn't yet gone into a bonsai pot. So it's at a more formative stage of training, just in a plant pot, and we're going to have a little ferret about and a trim and a style of that to see what's there. Yeah? Now both of these trees have been grown with bonsai in mind. These are grown by a bonsai nursery in Europe, and they've put some twists and curves into these trunks when they're much younger, which means they're much more usable, with more character than things that we would normally find at a local garden centre or nursery. Now, the disadvantage of that is that they cost more money, but there's that saying that you get what you pay for. Yeah, it was hard to get Graham to buy these, so but it's not easy selling stuff like that to Yorkshiremen, is it? All right. But I bought this along. This was another one. This was a bit of an easier sell. This is number 3. Yeah, this is a Blaw's juniper. So a Blaw's juniper, it's similar to Itagawa, but it's a slightly different foliage, and it's more. It normally exhibits a much more bluer colour. This is a Blaw's juniper here. Now, let's just take a little bit off that we don't need. Like this, yeah. You can see there's quite a colour difference there. Yeah. Now that is probably just down to environment and water. Yeah. If it's been in the sun or it's got different water, it's just gone a paler colour. I would say it was probably a bit more this colour when we had it down our way, and it's gone a little bit paler.
We're trying to feed it with some seaweed to try and green.
Yeah, but also at this time of year, you'll sometimes get a little bit more of a bronzing on this foliage, so that's not untoward at all. But it's just interesting how it's changed. Yeah, since it's living further north now, isn't it? I think that's what it is, isn't it? Yeah, that's what it is. This is Itagawa. Yeah, so this is an older version of this, but growing at a slower rate. Yeah, you can really see the density and the sort of tightness of the foliage on that sort of thing. And then I've got some other trees over there. Do you want to pass me one of them, Scott, behind you? Just one of them. That's it. So these are some more little younger ones, and these are like I suppose they're a little bit like these, but a bit shaggy. Yeah. So we're going to perhaps do a little bit of work on one of those, and if I get you excited enough, then I've got some of these for sale as well. So this had been. Did you prune this back a little bit? You must have pruned it back a bit.
I've only cleaned it out.
Okay. So you just took some little bits of dead and fluff out of it and stuff. So obviously it's growing at say it's one of these. Look, these have been quite heavily fed. Yeah, and this one's been on a slightly more meagre diet. Yeah.
I'm not getting it by a goat when it's on the online.
No, don't give it that expensive stuff, yeah. So let's just give it a little trim, yeah, just to tidy it up. So this tree, because it's already potted into a bonsai pot, the front has already been predetermined, hasn't it? It's in there towards you, like that, and that's the background there. This is the better view of the tree from the front. A couple of strange branches on it. This is a very strange branch. It's coming from inside that curve, it's going straight vertically down, so that can be cut off. We've got a little stub here at the front going forward, we don't need. And then we've got a few little branches here. Let's have a think about those. We've got another one here that's growing up. He's a bit of a nuisance. there's some little fluffy bits here at the back that want taking off. There's some branches growing down that want tidying up. Now this is still quite a young tree, so I'm trying not to trim out too many branches. See here, on this right hand side, what we really want is one branch coming out here to give us a foliage pad in here. What we've actually got is 1, 2, 2 and a bit, 3 branches. But they're quite underdeveloped, so what we might do, we might keep more than one to fill in and make us a foliage pad. And as it develops, we can always thin one out later on. So don't rush too much to cut stuff away that might add to the composition. Having said that, that little one there, we'll get rid of it, we don't need that. So let's have another look. Now, it's got good movement on this tree, but this branch here is quite big, coming towards us at the front. So I'm going to remove that, and we're going to use that branch behind it. So that one at the front we can get rid of, which is going to allow us to see the movement a lot better. Try not to look at stuff we're cutting off on the floor. Don't worry about it once it's on the floor. So this was a handy little branch. This can be the top of the tree. And then this one here on this side wants shortening back. This is growing up too much. This is growing down too much. These are growing down from this branch. If you want a more flat underside to the branch and then some foliage on the top of the branch, little one here. These are growing down too much. So when you're styling these trees, the first thing is always just a little bit of pruning with a decent pair of scissors, clean sharp scissors. These are a bit, I worked on a pine yesterday, ever so resinous pine, so I forgot to clean these scissors so they're all sort of sticky and horrible. Little stub there to take off, a bit there going in. So with it trimmed, look, this is the sort of thing we've got for sort of 5 minutes pruning. So we can either decide we're done there, or we can enhance it a little bit more, hopefully enhance it by popping a little bit of wire on it. So a couple of these branches will benefit from a little bit of wire. So we can bring this one down and forward, bring this one into here, bring this down. So let's just pop a bit of wire on it, because it's not going to take a great deal of time. But wiring's a bit weird when you first start. It can seem quite difficult, and it is one of the things that people can struggle with if they haven't done it before. It's weird with bonsai when you're teaching it. I get people on introductory bonsai courses at Greenwood, and they've not been before, not done any bonsai. And you know, when you're trimming a tree, you sometimes get people whose vocation helps them. So you'll get like hairdressers and barbers that they're used to trimming stuff, you know, trimming a live thing to shape, to form. You know, they're used to using scissors, used to chatting, and making cups of coffee and that sort of thing, and they take to trimming bonsai quite easily. But there's not many vocations where you do something that really helps you when you come to wiring a tree. Although the other week I had a lady on a course, and she'd never wired a tree before, and we started wiring a tree, and she was surprised and good at it. And I said to her, "Have you done any wiring before?" She said, "No." I said, "What do you do as a..." She's retired. I said, "What did you do as a career, as a job then? Because you're really neat at wiring it." And she was a florist and used to wire roses for exhibition at Chelsea and stuff like that. So she was used to using florist wire. So that translated quite easy to the bonsai. So that's pretty much wired everything on that tree now. We can have a go at just trying to position it. I don't position it as I'm wiring, I just get the wire on, and then once it's wired we can have a look. So that's it now, look, to you. And I have to turn it to me to actually do the positioning. So this is going to come round like this one into here.
Do you start at the top or start at the bottom?
Start at the bottom because I can reach it. Sometimes I have to stand on a box to get to the top of them. Yeah. I normally start at the bottom, and because that gives me like the width of the tree. Yeah. And then I'll work my way up to the top of the tree. bring this forward, this one into here, and twist that round a little bit.
On a tree of that size, how long would you expect them branches to take to set? Like 6
Well,
months?
no, on a juniper probably a little bit longer. Obviously also doing it at this time of year, it's not going to set too much over winter period. It's very hard to tell, you can't really tell people when to take the wire off a tree. The interesting thing with that is that obviously once we've wired a tree, the branches are growing, they're thickening up, the wire isn't giving, it's static. So over time what will happen is the wire will essentially cut into the branch, and it will scar the branch if it's left on too long, and that's what we don't want that. So you have to remove the wire. So there's a few things we could do. We used to say to people used to ask me, say, when do I cut the wire off, and used to say to people, oh, I'll cut it off after about a year or so. But in the course of my bonsai career, I've wired a maple in spring. Maybe not the best time to do it, but I've wired a maple in spring, and my wire was cutting in, damaging the bark, scarring the tree in 3 weeks. Yeah. And I've wired an old pine tree in the United States, and I saw that tree 7 years later, and it still had my wire on it, and it was fine. It wasn't cutting in. It was an old, slow-growing tree, and it was fine. It had been left. So, but when you say, how long do you leave the wire on for? And I say, well, between 3 weeks and 7 years. you think I'm not really being helpful. So I've thought of a new answer. So now when people say, when should I take the wire off? The answer now is, you should take it off a week before it cuts in. So, which I think is a lot more helpful, isn't it? Yeah? But in reality, that's exactly right. You take it off just before it does the damage. But it's down to you as a bonsai enthusiast to see when that is. You know, you're watering your trees every day. It shouldn't be a chore. You should be enjoying them, looking at them, pulling out the odd weed or whatever, but also looking at it thinking, oh yeah, that's got a wire on it. Oh, is it okay? Oh, that wants to come off in a few weeks. Just keeping an eye on it. We've all left it on too long and then thought, oh, but then you have to think, I left that on too long. Yeah, and then just try not for it to happen again. Yeah? So, and obviously trees grow at different rates at different times of year in different climates. Now, if you've got one of these but you put it in a bigger pot, it'll grow faster. You know, if you're a little bit more, if you're a bit less frugal than Graham with your feeding regime, yeah, it might grow a little bit faster. So you know all these things have a bearing, don't they? So with a little bit of, now we've wired it, now just a little bit of shaping. This one here wants to come off. That's its front towards you now, yeah, with it just tidied up and pruned. Okay, so another little one of them done. Obviously it's just it's kind of like a mini version of that one.
So I hope you enjoyed that. Corin, like I say, is an absolute master. You can see the cogs working all the time as he's working on trees, etc., and he's absolutely fantastic. I learnt a lot just in that 2-hour period that we had with him, and I was listening and just taking it all in, absorbing it, listening to the questions people were asking and just trying to fully absorb it, because I'm like most of you guys out there. In fact, most of you guys are probably even better than me by a long way. He's just leaps and bounds ahead of me. This is my journey into bonsai, and I enjoy what I'm doing, and I like to share it with you all. But yeah, he's on a totally another level to me, as most of you guys probably are as well. I've seen a lot of the stuff that you guys have got, and I pale to insignificance, really. I did promise you a chat with the individual that won the tree that went up for Raffle, and you're speaking to him. Amazingly, ticket number 341, I had it and I won the tree. Slightly embarrassed, but you know, very happy to have won the tree. So I'll give you a quick shot of that now, and also another tree. He did bring some additional material, big junipers that were done with bonsai in mind, and he worked on one half, you know, got it 50-60% sorted, a bit of wire on, and then chucked it to one side and put it back in his van. And before he left, I said, Corin, that's one that you worked on, you know, I'll have it. And for the same price as you buy the normal material for, I got it for that, and I was extremely happy. So let's have a look at what we got. So here we are. This is the juniper number 3. This is the work that Corin did on it and how he left it. You can see he added some deadwood in a couple of places, and all the branches were wired and put into fill gaps and create space and awareness. And there's just a couple of branches up the top here that weren't wired because they were just, you know, they're too small and too delicate, and after a year's worth of growth they'll be able to be wired and positioned accordingly. But obviously this is done. We'll have a good year or 18 months worth of growing out of this before we do anything else other than a possible repot. But it's a nice, you know, twin trunk looking tree that I was very lucky to be the winner of. Like I say, I was rather embarrassed when the ticket number came out. We all had the same chance, but yeah, being there and recording the event and everything, I was felt a little bit embarrassed to have actually won the tree, but also super excited at the same time. So at the beginning of the demonstration, if you watched it, you'll see that Corin showed some pre-bonsai juniper material that he brought with him that evening, and quite a few people bought it. And you know, it was out here and up here and out this side, and it was a great big bush of a juniper. They all were the same, but looking in, you know, they're really nice trees. Lots of flowing, I'm going to pick it up actually, lots of flowing lines in there. You can see where they're grown with bonsai in mind. There's lots of movement and you know, really interesting flow lines to the whole tree. So Corin worked on this for a few minutes and got it to this state, and when he just put it down to one side, I thought, oh boy, I've really got to have that, you know. And I think a couple of other people had the same thoughts as I did. So I waited until he'd packed up and he was all ready to go, and I sneaked up to him and just said, before you go, that one that you worked on towards the end, Corin, would you be willing to sell it to me? And fantastic, yes. And I said, how much? And it was the same price as actually buying the base material. So I've got most of the job done for me for that price, you know. So I'm really happy to have got that. So we'll let this grow as Corin styled it for now. We'll not put any wires on it or anything, and then when we work on the larger tree, we'll work on this one also. You can see just down there was a side trunk branch that was coming out that he removed, and then the whole thing just took shape over a few minutes as he, you know, got into the structure of the tree and removed all the rubbish, if you like, the branches that were interfering with everything. And I think you'll agree, you know, this one was definitely worth grabbing hold of as it was disappearing into the back of Corin's van. Pete's just making sure the moss is all okay there and looking into the witch's brew that we've got growing, that black gold as Tom calls it. So everything seems to be in order. So that's going to do it for today for me from here at Let's Do Bonsai. I'm Scott Winard. Get out there and make the best of the rest of your day. Be kind to each other, animals and the planet. And as always, I will see you again in the next one.